your profile because it's going to tell you you've got different motivation now. You've got a different season coming up. And some of you have maybe you're feeling better, you're sleeping better. It might change what supplements it's saying for you to do. It might change what the timing is. I know Ruth said she was coming too. Welcome, Brenda.
Welcome.
Oh, okay. It's all right. She can watch us on Zoom. So, what I'd like you to do is retake the weight loss profile, and that will tell you what you should do. If you have any questions, you can certainly call me, email me, text me, and we can talk about it. But because Thanksgiving is just a 2 weeks away, and because do you know Christmas is 48 days away? Is that right, Marcy, my bean counter?
Not that far. Yeah.
Okay. So what it's going to tell you is we have literally been doing what is termed here either phase 2 or fat shredder. And some of you have already started to ask me about yams and sweet potatoes and beans and all that. And we're going to add all that back in now. And so the only question is you're going to go with rapid results, okay? Or are you going to go with sure and steady? And I emailed these as an attachment on the email, but if your printer doesn't work, feel free to take one of these with you, or we can make another copy if you want to take two. And the whole idea through the holiday season is I don't want you to gain. I want you to have a no gain November. All right. And some of you will still, this you lose up to 2 to 3 pounds per week as you're following it. But the change, if you do rapid results, is that we're going to add back in, and I said this in the email, we're going to add on the fats, a few more fats, nuts and seeds. Okay. And if you're going to do nuts and seeds, I'd prefer that you do like cashews, pistachios. Pistachios are great before you go to bed because they have L-tryptophan in it, so it will help you to sleep. Um, or for your evening meal, if you're going to throw them on top of something. Almonds, you can sliver almonds and throw it over the top of things to give it a crunch. That's awesome. But as we've all found out, sometimes almonds can be addictive. So a little handful, like, 7 to 12, not 5 pounds. Um, we're going to add back in low glycemic starch. So that's like acorn squash, butternut squash. Butternut squash is so creamy. If you've never cooked a butternut squash, you just slice it in half the long way, put it on a baking sheet, throw it in the oven. You can put some salt and pepper on there, bake it off for like an hour till you can stick a knife in it and it's soft. Throw it, and if you really want to be tricky, you can put a whole garlic clove or a whole garlic bunch, cut it in half, tip it upside down. You can put thyme, you can put some oregano, you could put some carrots in there. And then when it comes out of the oven, dump all that stuff into a pot and use an immersion blender. Do you know what an immersion blender is? You stick it in there and it will immersion blend it, and then you can make a soup out of it. So I know what I was going to say. I was going to say, if you're like, well, Pam, all that sounds so great for you. You just have a college degree and 40 years of experience of cooking and you throw things together. You can go to ChatGPT. It's free. You can download it on your phone. You could do Grok too if you'd rather do that than ChatGPT. But the recipe tonight for the pheasant actually came from ChatGPT. I said, I have pheasant breasts, I have mushrooms, I have cream. What should I make? And then it said, do you want it stovetop? Do you want it oven baked? And I said, stovetop. And then it said, do you want to use cream of mushroom soup or do you want to make your own roux? And I was like, let's make our own roux because cream of mushroom soup, I don't know if you know this, but it has gluten in it, unless you get a gluten-free one. But you could use a gluten-free one. And then it will keep asking you questions and you can just drill down. It will throw out a recipe for you. So the recipe that I send you is not my recipe, it's ChatGPT's recipe. Or if you come home, Lisa, after working all day and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got some chicken thighs and I've got some celery and carrots, or maybe you have some snap peas or whatever you got in your fridge, you just type it into ChatGPT and you go, make me a recipe. And it will do it for you.
Chat GPT pie.
Pumpkin pie
Pumpkin pie
with no
with
crust. Is
no
that what it
crust,
was?
crustless, with pumpkin spice protein. So I put it in Chat GPT. I said, go trim pumpkin spice crustless pumpkin pie, and it gave me a recipe.
With our protein
Yeah.
shake, the pumpkin pie protein shake.
I have to have pumpkin spice.
Well, it doesn't matter. Then you could tell it I have vanilla and I have pumpkin in a can and I have pumpkin pie spice, and it will make the recipe for you. right? So I didn't buy any pumpkin pie protein shake this year because I just didn't get around to it. And I was like, oh shoot, it's already gone. And I just said, make me a TLS shake. And it said get canned pumpkin or fresh, cooked, use your pumpkin pie spice. And it told me exactly what to put in it. ChatGPT will do that for you. Okay. So I do still have the cookbooks out there. I wanted to let you know the cookbook out here, if you go under our programs, or excuse me, under resources and under recipes, there's a whole Asian cookbook under there that we haven't even begun to look at. If you want to look at it, remember the shaking and baking is there. Um, okay, where did the Asian one go? You might have to get that from an unfranchised owner. It's in the back office under unfranchise. Type in Asian recipes. It looks like it's not on this site because I'm coming from America and that's probably on the Taiwanese site. But you can get it. I'll send it in the email.
On that chat GPT too, I said, okay, now to break down the nutrition value of this pumpkin pie. So it gave me per slice, now I cut these a little bit smaller, but I mean, it gave me protein, it gave me carbs, very minimal. It was awesome. So,
So all of that is there. Why am I not getting the right place? Our programs. That's where I'm trying to go to. Our programs. So if it says to you, you're going to do rapid results, you can go here as well under our programs. All of this is free. This site is free. All of this information is free. Um, Here's what I'm showing you, and you can see it's got suggestions for supplements on this program. It's got the power foods. So you can see we've added seeds and nuts. That's what I was talking about. Pistachios, cashews, almonds. I would prefer that you not eat peanuts. I don't care if they're roasted, raw, salted, whatever. They're the dirtiest crop of nuts out there. They're highly pesticide. And I just would encourage you not to use peanuts. I would use a different nut. Okay. Brazil nuts are great. You're going to find those coming into season. Olives are great. Be a little bit careful, serving size of olives. You're not going to eat a whole jar of them, but certainly they're great to flavor things. They're great to have on your table at Thanksgiving time. And then you can see that there are some extra fruits in here as well. It talks about dates and figs, which is nice coming into this season. Star fruit, tangelos, pomegranates, pineapple. Again, half a cup of pomegranates and pineapple because they're higher glycemic. I sent you an email about that. There are some Gotrim approved sweeteners you could add. So, like this holiday season, if you're going to be doing some more holiday baking, um, I lean toward honey and maple syrup because they're whole foods and they have a lot of extra things in there to help you with maybe some of your immune system and your allergies. But monk fruit would be the next one on the list. You can order that on Amazon. It comes in a powder. Stevia is a little tricky. You have to use very little. If you use too much, it's 600 times sweeter than sugar. People have a tendency to put too much in and then it tastes bitter and then they don't like it. So if you're going to get stevia, I'd get a dropper in a little glass bottle so you can really regulate it. Agave, I like to steer people away from agave because they use so much of it, but we do have an excellent sweet potato recipe with agave, and I love it. But make sure that it's real agave. It came from an agave plant when you buy it, because sometimes interestingly enough, they add things in there. And coconut sugar is another one you could use. So these are some approved sweeteners. If you find yourself craving again, like especially at night before you go to bed, cut back on the sweeteners. Here's our wonderful low glycemic squashes. This is where I got ADHD'd off. Um, Kombucha, I would go easy on the kombucha. It's a fermented food, but I have seen you can have probiotic die-off if you're taking a probiotic and then you take kombucha too. Sometimes it can give you an upset tummy and you get so many biotics going on in there that you have a little bit of die-off and you could have some diarrhea. Purple potato, this is a huge one. This is Dr. William Lee talks about this being an anti-cancer agent, a low glycemic starch. Quinoa, half a cup, sweet potato, half of a medium-sized sweet potato taro. That's kind of a Hawaiian thing. And yams, in our country, yams and sweet potatoes are the exact same thing, but I guess they do have a different definition on where they pull it from. So this, you can look at the menu plan, you can download the recipe book if it tells you rapid results and that's what you want to do. Here's what I love about the holiday season. Definitely on Thanksgiving Day, I'm going to be doing sure and steady. Okay, so You can flip back and forth from day to day if you have a holiday gathering. Shows what's the difference. Sure and Steady, again, it has its own um, power food list. And there, what we're adding in are, again, wider variety of proteins. If you're going to do red meat, limit to 1 to 2 servings per week. That would be beef, pork, lamb, buffalo, veal, bison, or venison. Seafood, lobster, still using our Gotrim nutrition shakes. If you can access grass-fed beef, better. If it's corn finished, it's going to have a higher pro-inflammatory marker on it. Here's some our vegetarian options. You certainly can lean into those. If you do get a veggie or garden burger, make sure it's grain free. There's more fruits listed here as well: cherries, cantaloupe, cassava, melon, different kinds of fruits, persimmons. We've widened the gate again with more sugars that are more medium glycemic. And then we've widened the gate too with veggies here. And then the starch, we added in a whole grain, 1 serving per day. So this is not your 2 pieces of toast for breakfast or your Honey Nut Cheerios, okay? This is more like my sister makes a great barley soup. Buckwheat is something you can get and make buckwheat pancakes. Farro, kamut, millet. These you're going to have to look for. They're not your traditional German foods like we all eat, but they are grains that are out there. If you're going to do a noodle, you can get black bean noodles, you can get lentil noodles, edamame noodles, arrowroot noodles, mung bean noodles. Again, in the email, I said, don't introduce 6 new foods in the same meal and day. When you get a new food, you add it in, measure either right under your chest or at your belly button and see, did that make me bloat? And if it did, then what we'd like to do is try to get it in a less processed form and see if you still bloat. And like I talked about milk, maybe you could use goat milk. Maybe you could use like yogurt is a fermented. Do you know what yogurt is? Yogurt, we basically spoil the milk like sour cream, and then we take the curds and we serve it to you. And that's what it is. So it's fermented. Oatmeal, if you're going to use oatmeal, I'd prefer you get the gluten-free option. If you're going to use rice, remember just half a cup basmati or brown, spelt, or a sprouted grain bread like Ezekiel bread is a sprouted grain. I don't have time to go into why sprouted is better than non-sprouted, but it's less inflammatory. Okay. So if you're still wanting to lose the weight and you've got weight to lose, adding this in is going to slow everything down. Why? Because it's higher glycemic. It's going to be a medium glycemic food. People have a tendency to eat more than a half a cup, and it is pro-inflammatory. You just can't change it. But if your body's humming along well, these things added in, just be conscious of your serving size. I mean, if it's a deal breaker, I want to have a piece of toast with my egg in the morning. Well, let's freeze some Ezekiel bread and just take out a piece and put it in the toaster, right? Or let's go with a sourdough bread, which is fermented again, and it's creating its own rising agent instead of using a yeast product. I personally cannot take brewer's yeast or baker's yeast because I've taken a food sensitivity test, and both of those are high for me. So, or you could, if you're bloating from it, maybe just choose to have it once in a while for a special occasion, right? Now, if you're someone who just can't figure out what you're bloating from, which was my case after doing this for 15 years, I went and had a food sensitivity test done. And there is a test that I can direct you to that would tell you if you are allergic, which means every time you eat it, you're going to have negative problems and maybe even push yourself into an autoimmune issue, or you're just sensitive. And then it's on a scale of like 1 to 5. And if you're like a 1 sensitivity, okay, well, maybe once a week you're going to have it. All right. Or maybe you're going to bake with it and have it with other foods, or you can offset it with some digestive enzymes. Okay. Why do we have so much sensitivity now when we didn't when we were kids? Well, there's a brand new documentary that just came out, an inconvenient study. I spent way too much time today watching it and delving into that. And if you really are interested to know why our kids, 52% of our children have chronic disease, I would urge you to download that from the internet right now. It's free. You can watch it and you can see why. And this has been a huge emphasis for the last 9 months to figure out why is there so much chronic disease and allergy in our child population right now? And so I'm not going to dive deeper into that, but I'm just going to point you toward the resources, or if you want me to direct you, I can. But it does have consequences for you and I. And there are some very specific things we can do to try to help our body stay clean and stay healthy. And the way you've been eating like Olympic champions. And it's not easy to do what you've done. I applaud you all for doing what you've done. You are a fish swimming upstream. You are Romans 12, 1 and 2. You have changed your thought processes. You've not given in to doing the easy thing. You've chosen the more you cook at home, the healthier you're going to be. Huge study was done. Food prepared by human hands, people have less chronic disease than food that's prepared by a machine or by workers in a restaurant. You have no idea what's going into that food when you're in a restaurant. And I can almost guarantee you, even if it doesn't say MSG, it's got an MSG accent type product in it. It's got sugar in it. It's got hydrogenated fat in it, because that's not going to spoil in the restaurant industry. The first half of my life, I spent from 14 on in the restaurant industry. I have a 4-year degree in it. It tastes good because they know how to hijack your taste buds. And after that, I worked for Nabisco for several years. And it tastes good and can sit on the shelf for 2 years and not post date because it's full of new to nature chemicals. Okay. And so you have been eating food, and I'm sure you've even had to throw some food away because I had you buy fresh food and you didn't get to it fast enough, and maybe it molded or whatever. But a little bit of waste or a little bit of planning. Again, this is why I'm asking you to prep your food. I still have 2 farmhouse garlic chicken containers in the freezer. I just looked at it today, and that's great because I wasn't going to eat it every day last week, right? So now I'll have it for next week or the week after. And that's what I want to urge you to do. I want you to get into a new habit, stack new habits. Even if you made turkey chili and you've eaten it 2 days this week, we'll freeze it in, portion size appropriate, and get it in the freezer so you don't burn out on one food. Some of you have really leaned hard into eggs, hard boiled, soft boiled, on your salad for your breakfast. I want to tell you, be careful, because you could create a pro-inflammatory issue, or where you have a sensitivity to eggs if you eat them 3 meals a day, every day of the week. Okay, so let's expand. Let's get some other meats in there, right? We have some others here that we can get into now, especially if you have some venison. This weekend is opening of deer hunting. Go tell your friend, hey, I'll pay your gas if you give me some of your deer meat, right? Or maybe some hunter will have too much and share it with you nicely. So if you are on Zoom, please download these or from the site, or get them from the email I sent. I think it's important. And then Teresa, if you wanted to move to continued commitment, you certainly could do that as well. That's listed there as well, but I'm not going to take a bunch of time to talk about that tonight, okay? I sent you in an email the video for this week. The educational video for this week is overcoming obstacles. All right. So we've talked about your mindset. We've talked about reading labels. We've talked about, hidden things in labels. We've talked about load, glycemic load. If you don't remember, that's eating your savory part first. Okay. So maybe having a salad before dinner. That's like eating, and then the next thing would be your fats and proteins, and the last thing, the carb. Okay. And if you eat that way, you will lose weight. Um, so we want to eat the most fibrous and the densest foods first, because they slow down the glycemic impact. I gave you the example of, if you go to Olive Garden and you eat that breadstick, even a half a breadstick, and then you eat, your chicken breast and your salad, and you're good the rest of the meal, it doesn't matter. That breadstick hijacked your insulin production, and it started producing a ton of insulin because it saw that high glycemic carb that breaks down into sugar right away, and it goes, pump out insulin. And so now everything that came after that had a bunch of insulin in it. And when it came across the muscle fibers said, no good for making muscle, send it to the adipose tissue cells and store it. So don't hijack yourself this holiday season by eating the high glycemic carb first. When I worked in the restaurant industry, it was always my philosophy, eat dessert first, because you might not have room for it after you eat that big meal. And what that did was create a lot of insulin resistance for me. Plus, I was eating it at 12:30 at night after the banquet was over, right? And then I'd have the chocolate mousse truffle cake first, and then I'd have the baked potato, and then I'd eat prime rib that was left over, right? At 1 in the morning or 12 or 12:30. And that was not good for my waistline. But it was a lifestyle I had because of where I worked. So maybe you have a place that you work, if you're a shift worker or you have babies or whatever, you've got to figure out how can I stop eating at least 2 hours, maybe 3 hours before I go to bed so that you give your digestion a break. Why? Because if you're insulin resistant, that will help that. If your gut has leaky gut, it will help that. We've got to give it a break at night. Remember, we said at least 12 hours, if not 14 hours of no eating, and you will sleep better. How many of you are sleeping better? Yeah. So, as we go into the holiday season, if you are going to plan to indulge, grandma's got a favorite recipe and we've got to eat it, whatever it is, fruit compote, pecan pie, whatever. If you're going to plan to do it, you could plan to burn it off by working out before you eat the meal. Burn up those carbs, go for a longer walk. Make a plan to go for a walk after Thanksgiving with your family. We do that. We go down to the Nietzsche Trail and we all meet there and we go for a walk around the Nietzsche Trail down by the river. We all bring our dogs. Um, or you could choose also to do an alternative, change the recipe, ask ChatGPT, can you make grandma's pecan pie? Here's the recipe, low glycemic, see what it says. Or you could choose to eat portion control, a smaller portion, and you're going to eat it at the end of the meal after you've eaten your vegetables, right? Your savories, your protein. But mostly, I want you to remember this month, keep up the protein. I know some of you have had a hard time getting enough protein in, but if you're going to retool your metabolism, what dictates metabolism? Anybody? Muscle. And how do we build muscle? But even more than exercise, you could exercise and not have enough protein and you will cannibalize your muscle. So I've had numerous people this week come to me that they're going to try taking a GLP-1 shot. And I am not against that in certain situations, but I think you need to take a very low dose and you have to know how to eat. And you guys know how to eat now. So if you have friends, I'm sure you will over the holiday. I heard that we just reduced the USA's rate of obesity by 3%, and they think it's because of these GLP-1 shots. But if you're going to do that, you have to eat enough protein and you have to exercise, or you are going to lose your muscle mass and you're going to end up with an Ozempic face. And once you come back off of it, some of that you cannot regain. So I want you to know by eating protein, you are increasing the GLP-1 production in your own gut with food. And you can do it with the Gotrim Thin. By taking the thin 2 a day, you're increasing that. Now, if some of you are just finding it's so irresistible, Pam, this food, it's my tradition, it's my family, I have to eat, then you should take two of the thin twice a day. Take it in the morning and take it at night. And I'm just telling you, that's going to crush your appetite. So you will have to food journal to make sure you're eating enough. That's the problem with the shot is it crushes people's appetite and then their body starts cannibalizing muscle because they're not eating. Do you understand that? If you have diabetes and you're 200 pounds overweight, I'm not against arresting that trajectory, but it's a decision you have to make depending upon the risks and the benefits. Does that make sense? All right. So please don't think that I'm 100% against it. But even if you do it, you have to know what you're doing. And all the knowledge that you have gained will stand you in good stead, no matter what else you do. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about that? Questions online? Okay, so this week is overcoming obstacles. A couple of things I'm going to mention about that. If I can stop sharing my screen. There we go. Yes, you can take Go Trim Thin and Go Trim Core together. And you can take it with Gotrim Slim. We're seeing some pretty amazing results when people take the thin, which increases GLP-1 production and has saffron to up your mood, and the slim, which actually causes your body to boost metabolic function and keep your muscle mass. And those two together have been quite a double team. The core, again, because Tammy's asking, the core is going to increase your serotonin, which is your happy hormone, 28%, and it's going to reduce your cholesterol load, your bad cholesterol, while increasing your good cholesterol. It's going to balance your blood sugar, and it's going to help you tell your body, when I eat this, either use it or lose it. And so for people who are insulin resistant, this is a super product to be taking. And make sure you're taking it twice a day, 30 minutes before your meal. If you forget and you're sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner, put it in a little bowl. I have it in a little glass dish and I leave it on the counter so I don't forget to take it. Okay. All right. So I think I answered that question. Other questions? Did somebody here just ask me a question? I'm reading and trying to multitask. Okay. So do you know where you go from here? Take the quiz, switch it up, make sure you're changing your foods. Don't stick with just carrots, celery, and eggs. You will definitely cause boredom and you will just one night go out and have margaritas with the girls until the cows come home, and then you'll really be sad. I will tell you, some of you, if you do get into a plateau, the Overcoming Objections has a thing in there about plateaus. You're not at a true plateau unless you've lost no weight, you've not changed 1 inch, and you're eating 80% to your plan for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So then I would add a cheat day where you're giving your body food confusion. And I would say you can go off plan for 1 day a week and then come right back on. Or if you really want to jumpstart it, you could take 1 day a week and fast for 24 hours. And that actually has been shown to have a lot of great effects for your immune system, for your gut health. But if you are at all thinking that you're hypoglycemic, that would be a death knell for you to for a whole day not to eat. Or if you have a very physical job, I probably wouldn't do it either. Okay. But those are some things you could implement if you feel like you're just super frustrated. What I mostly tell people is after Thanksgiving, if you're feeling, like, oh, I'm off track, you can do another 7-day NutriClean beginning of December. And you can call me if you're looking for some hints on that. So those are some cheats. I put them in the email, a few of them, to help you get through. And then other obstacles. Some of you have lost enough weight that people are coming up and saying, "Are you sick?" Well, they weren't worried about you when you were a heart attack walking. Um, don't let someone push you into a corner or be a food pusher for you. You stay the course for what you want. This is really, that's why I've been sending these scripture verses along with your emails, is because you're engaged really in a spiritual battle for the stewardship of your own body. And if you think, well, Pam, you're restricting me or you're telling me what to eat. No, when I worked for Nabisco, I was telling you what to eat because the last thing you saw at the shelf where you'd pick it was Oreos or chocolate bars or soda. And we were literally influencing you through marketing. That is what marketing is influencing you to buy our product. And when I worked in the restaurant industry, I was influencing you. And it wasn't for the good of you, it was for the good of my bottom line. Does that make sense? And so I've spent the last 20 years trying to undo what I did the first 20 of my adult life. And you have to know that it's a war out there in the grocery store. It's a war out there in the restaurant industry. They are making their food more tantalizing to your taste buds so that you can't resist it, so that they make more money. Do you understand that? They are not concerned about your health. They're concerned about their bottom line. And so when you really sit down and think about it, if you're in a moment where it's just so difficult, you can ask ChatGPT that too. I'm going out to eat at Olive Garden. What is a good choice for me off the menu tonight so that I can stay on course with my low glycemic eating? And scary or not, it's helpful. ChatGPT can do some pretty amazing things. You can even ask ChatGPT, I need a pep talk. I'm down 10 pounds. I'm coming into the holidays. Give me a pep talk today about staying on course. And it will. So the thing I will say about ChatGPT is make it work for you. Don't let it replace your thoughts. Make it work for you, what you want. It's like a reference. It's like an automatic librarian. It can go out there and find stuff for you. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think we should be afraid of it. I think we should harness it up and make it go to work for us. Just like when the internet came, a lot of people were afraid of it, but now we can't hardly live without it, right? Okay, other questions. You do need to reorder your supplements. That's going to be your real go-to helping you gain the edge this month. Some of you, I would really stick with your trim tea and your fiber powder every day, or that's your after dinner drink. Put it in a nice fancy mug, or if you drink it cold, put a little lemon on the side and put it in a martini glass if you want, or whatever you have to do to make yourself know that it's great. We talked about sparkling water, kind of zhuzhing up what you're drinking as well, and feeling like you're something special. You are something special and you are worth it.